coach?
Well, it's a hard-working forward pack. Obviously, the key for the Raiders is Jason Smith in as far as guidance and direction and to come up with the big plays when it's required. Shafosky can do something special at the back. And David Howell and Craig Fawley last weekend were exceptional. They need to be on their games again because Howell, no doubt, will be marking Willie Tonga, and you'd expect Tonga to see a lot of the ball today.
If you're going to guess at maybe a points spread in this game, you'd say it could be a fairly low-scoring game played down the middle of the park and both teams keeping it pretty close to their chest. I wouldn't be surprised if there was only 30 points scored in the game.
Oh, look, in today's game, you just don't know what the scoreline is going to be. That's right, because both teams, I think, will come with a conservative game plan. But having said that, the Raiders adapted a new approach in the off-season. They tend to shift the ball and then come back down through the middle. And we talk about the Bulldogs, their strength being their forwards. Well, it can also be their weakness, especially in a high-tempo game, because they can get fatigued early. And I think that's something that the Raiders may try and exploit.
We'll see which Raiders team turns up today. Of course, the team that conceded 126 points in 2 games, or the team that was very good in round 1 against Manly, and likewise last week here in Canberra against the Penrith Panthers. That's to come on NRL Sunday, but right now there's plenty more happening right around the sporting world. And to bring us up to date, here is Heidi Ahrens. He's not the Messiah, he's just a very good football player. Clinton Shafosky, the hero of the Golden Point win last week for the Raiders against the Penrith Panthers. And he'll be in the #1 Raiders jumper again today as they take on the Bulldogs live on NRL Sunday. Thanks for joining us here at Canberra Stadium. A bright sunny day in the nation's capital. The Bulldogs coming off the bye, and Laurie Daly, here's their lineup.
Yeah, Luke Patton at the back, El Masri on the wing, Emilio and Tonga in the centres. Cutler gets his chance on the wing with Matua and the inexperienced Daniel Holsworthy in the #7 jersey. The forward pack, O'Mealy, a late change, starting with Hughes, Asatasi, Mason, Ryan, Grimaldi. Armit dropbacks to the interchange bench, Perry, Miles and Green.
And the Raiders inside their dressing room. Alan Tongue in the headgear gets a little bit of a rev up from the coach. Shafosky is the fullback. Marshall Chalk will play on the wing for Purtell. Mogg, Howe, Frawley, Smith and Carney make up the rest of the back line. The forward pack is Hodgson, Withers, Thompson, Leroy, Lars. Jones comes in for Alan Tongue. And Jason Croker will now move to lock forward, playing his 298th first-grade game for Canberra. Tongue, Zillman, Lomu and Thurling are the bench players today. They were terrific last week here, bouncing back the Raiders after conceding 126 points in defence in their previous 2 losses, while the Bulldogs, they'll have had 2 long weeks to think about what happened against the Newcastle Knights at Energy Australia Stadium back in round 3. The week before, though, they were on fire against the West Tigers at Telstra Stadium, and we'll see which Bulldogs it is which turns up to play here in front of a small travelling band of Bulldogs fans who've made the trip down the Hume Highway to Canberra. Roy Asatasi will be up front looking to lay a platform early.
Yeah, the Bulldogs Player of the Year in 2005 after getting his chance in the run on side. He became an on-field leader for the Dogs and provides them with plenty of go forward when carrying the football. And he's a player the Raiders need to control on the ground if they're to win.
Mark O'Mealy also out there revving up the team, and of course we saw Hazem El Masri practicing his goal kicks in the warm-up. He is an absolute sharpshooter. We know what he can do as the Raiders come out, led out by their captain, Clinton Shafosky. Jason Croker, as we said, approaching 300 games. What a player he's been for this club, Greg.
Oh, he's been super, hasn't he? Jason Croker playing his 16th season at the club, and as you said, approaching that, well, after today, only 2 games shy of that very rare 300 first game target. A player that, well, generally gets through the 80 minutes, and that's something Matthew Elliott will be looking for today. And we've got Michael Hodgson, and he'll be an important member of this Raiders outfit today. He'll have to match the 2 international props for the Bulldogs, hit for hit and run for run. Did the job last week, but with Matt Elliott still searching for the Raiders' best combination up front, he'll be looking for a big one.
Jason Smith, the veteran, waiting for time on. The man to blow it is Jason Robinson. He gets the all clear, and we're underway in Canberra. Holdsworth it is who kicks it deep to the corner to be taken, and they'll bring it back out through Michael Hodgson, who works it up towards the 20-metre line of the Raiders. Met in a good tackle there by Grimaldi. He plays it back to Howe, the man who scored the try, which gave Clinton Shafovsky the chance to kick that goal to send us to extra time here last week. Withers giving it to Thompson. An underrated player as far as the front rowers in the NRL are concerned. He's up there with the best of them. Here's Croker getting his first touch. It has been a marvellous career here in Raiders territory. Smith with a clearing kick over the head, going back, chasing it. Cutler had to play at it. Was he in the field of play? When he got to the ball, he makes it back into the field of play from the in-goal area. He was tripping the light fantastic down the touchline.
Well, he did a remarkable job to keep it in the field of play. The Raiders chasers were coming down. Excellent start by Canberra, and what a kick by Jason Smith.
Here's Asatasi bumping it up to the 20-metre line. We're expecting a hard-fought, grinding effort between these two sides today with the halves combinations they have. Perhaps the Raiders have a big edge in that department as far as flair and skill is concerned. We'll see which way the Bulldogs play with Holdsworth and Matua in that role. Here is the halfback, Holdsworth, kicking long in between both Shafovsky and back there Marshall Chalk on the right wing today in place of Adrian Purtell. And Marshall Chalk, a strong, robust style of winger. Terrific replacement for Matty Lee to be able to call on today.
Yeah, he's a good young player, Marshall Chalk. Watch for him to link in field this afternoon. Loves receiving the inside pass, especially down near the try line. He'll be linking with Jason Smith as Ben Jones carries the ball forward for the Canberra side.
He'll play it just outside the 30. Withers comes to this left-hand side. Here's Carney going to Mogg, who's stopped there in the tackle by Amelia, and then Carney kept coming on the wraparound. He'll be forced to play it here with a couple of tackles left in this set of 6. Frawley, who had perhaps his best game as a Raider last week in the win against the Panthers. A strong running effort on the left-hand side with some good balls as well for Adam Mogg to set up a couple of tries. Patton takes the kick on the full inside his 20, and he looks up to see a straight line of green jumpers. Good kick chase from Canberra. A solid start from both teams.
I think that's what you're looking for when you're playing away, especially the Bulldogs, knowing that Canberra, they are a difficult proposition down here in Canberra, but they're looking to get into the game through their completions early. Already O'Mealy's had a couple of charges along with Mason, and they're two key players that the Raiders really must control on the ground.
Holdsworth, the inside ball for Asatasi, who hasn't quite regained the form he showed early in 2005. Now Corey Hughes gets tangled up in the play of the ball there. 35 metres away on the last tackle here as Holdsworth puts a kick which bounced off the head perhaps of Jason Croker. It helped out Clinton Shafovsky, who cuts back to his right-hand side, hemmed in by Matua and also Grimaldi, but he got a ball away to Marshall Chalk, and then the tackle by Tonga forced the ball loose, and the Bulldogs get a gift, 6 tackles at close range to the Raiders line. Hughes goes to Matua. Here's Mason winding up. They stop him 10 metres away. Well tackled by Marshall Chalk, defending one end from the wing. Here's Matua to O'Mealy now. He runs at Croker. They can hold him up there. Jason Smith also making an effective stop. He'll play it 5 metres out. Holdsworth, Ryan with the decoy run for Asatasi, who offloads. It comes back to the halfback Holdsworth. Now Matua.
Held 3, up Jason.
He'll play it in front of the post. Hughes comes back to the right-hand side. Ryan, a cutout ball. It bounces up for Emilio. Now El Masri, who has a habit of sneaking in when you least expect it. There was no room on this occasion, though. He was stopped by Lincoln Withers. Hughes, deep in this tackle count, goes back. It comes away there to Andrew Ryan, who was stopped only a metre or so away. It looked as though he was going to pour through a gap for a moment. Now Holdsworth, a chip over the top, some pressure on David Howe, but he was up above them. The chasers couldn't get there in time, and the Raiders have done well to hang on.
Yeah, it was well defended there by Canberra. They really kept their line. They kept moving forward, and when the ball was going past their defenders, they were coming. They kept on moving forward and across to where the ball was going.
Howe will play it back to Withers as they try and work it away from their own end. A good ball back on the inside from Carney to Jones, and then the rookie forced the issue. In fact, it was Leroy Lars who coughed up a ball, and again, the Bulldogs will have it from 30 metres out from the Raiders' line.
And it's not something you want to be doing with the Bulldogs. That's the second set in a row that the Raiders have turned over inside their own 30. And Leroy Lars, he's a big unit on the edge of the ruck, looking to get the one-arm offload there to Adam Mogg. And Matthew Elliott on the sideline, disappointed with that. He knows his team needed to get a kick in this set of 6.
A problem here with Troy Thompson, who has a cut. It's around that left eyebrow region. Some quick repairs and he's okay.
Locks down. Get it in. Out.
Another set on the attack here. The Bulldogs third in a row. The Raiders have stood up tall so far in defence, and they'll need to again here. Good tackle there by Jones. He got it quickly on O'Melio. Hughes going to O'Melio and coming, bouncing out of it. Carney was barreled out of the defensive line. Here's Grimaldi, swung to the ground by Thompson and also Withers. 10 metres away. Hughes runs a long way before he gives it to Holdsworth. A miscommunication there. Mason cut infield. The ball went to ground and now El Masri got the pass from Emilio. He gets away from Mogg. They need to keep their line straight. El Masri almost got away from Croker as well. He played the ball quickly. Hughes had a dash from dummy half. 4 tackles gone. Here's El Masri looking to go himself, and he's so strong. He reached out but couldn't get there. In fact, the ball came loose as he tried to reach out, and Shafovsky came up with it for Canberra.
Well, goal line defence has been tested already in this game. And El Masri from dummy half, trying to force his way out of the tackle, loses the ball, and now the Raiders a relieving penalty. That's what they needed. The Bulldogs needed to be disciplined on that set of 6. If they had been disciplined and maybe have got the ball back, there would have been enormous pressure on the Raiders, but they worked it well. You know a team's prepared well when their goal line defence is tested early in the game and they can repel the raids.
We'll see what the Raiders could do with a bit of field position themselves now. Thompson dumping it out the back for Withers, who showed good hands to pick it up off his bootlaces. Here's Howe, turning it back on the inside. Jones working it down the right-hand channel. Just outside the 30 they are. Here's Smith, as casual as ever. A pass which was forward for Thompson. The timing was astray on that play. It was a set move, but he just ambled perhaps a little too long, Smith, before coming up with the ball. I don't know, in fact, that Thompson was ready for it.
Well, Jason Smith just turned his back, and Thompson, I think you're right, I think he was just running through as a bit of a decoy and just acting as support. Alan Tongue, well, we've seen some weird styles over the last 10 years or so in the game. I think that's right up there with them.
He's been sporting it for a couple of weeks now, reprising his role from last week as the man in the iron mask. Here's Ryan playing it for Hughes, and now O'Melio bumping forward. Withers came up out of the line quickly, but too quickly. He could see O'Melio winding up from a long way back and wanted to shorten the gap between himself and the front rower.
Pound for pound, he's got to be the toughest player in the competition, Lincoln Withers. Never shirks away from a challenge or a responsibility. And his responsibility then was to get up and try and take O'Melio. He did that, showing no fear with his body.
Here's Mason playing it quickly. Hughes with a roll on, coming to Asatasi. They're back in familiar position. They've spent most of the first half here. Asatasi tries to play it too quickly and has put the ball down.
Well, Asatasi running with the football. Jones, I thought he may have got a hand in there, Ben Jones. Yeah, and I think I'm right. I think he was lucky to get away with that. The referee claiming that he just lost it on his own.
Let's go, Jason.
And the Bulldogs forwards looking to play a real up-tempo game. And some fast play the balls in their previous set again was looking ominous for the Raiders. Again, they've been able to hang on, and now they work it away from their own 20. Hodgson will play it back to Withers as it goes to Thompson. Puts his hand up for another carry. Hughes was down low to finish him off. Here's Hodgson. A tip-on play there for Todd Carney, and now a penalty.
Both of you. Yeah, no, you guys have got to look for us as well.
This time it's Matua who is up in front of the referee on that left-hand side of the Bulldogs' defensive line, and again the Raiders will have a chance put some real pressure on the Bulldogs' defensive line for the first time in the game. We'll see how they fare this time around. A good kick for line. They'll have it just 30 metres away. Here's Withers tapping it and going to Carney as they look to bring it back midfield straight away from the tap. Hodgson is taken to ground pretty heavily there by Mason. He's slow getting back to his feet, the Canberra front rower. Here's Tom Leroy Lars. Handful for Holdsworth. He gets some help as well. Ryan was there in the tackle, and then coming in late was Corey Hughes. Adam Mogg getting out of dummy half. They're playing 10 metres out from the Bulldogs line. Withers goes to Smith. It's where he rebels. A ball to Carney, who put it down. A chance for the Bulldogs on the counter-attack. Getting in between the Willie Tonga. He was almost away.
And a tackle had to be made there by Ben Jones. Good scramble effort there by Canberra. And once again, a turnover.
Holdsworth goes to Mason. The Raiders can't hang on to the ball when they get a chance in Bulldogs territory. They're 0 for 2 in that category, if you like, since getting a chance in the last couple of minutes. O'Mealy. Play it here for Hughes. Holdsworth to Ryan. Not much happening on the right-hand side, so he just puts the head down, and it proved to be pretty effective as well. He took it across the halfway line. Patton to Holdsworth, who kicks once again. A big gap between Shafovsky on the left-hand side and Chalk on the right-hand side. The bounce wasn't a kind one for him. It had him under pressure, but Cutler couldn't get there in time. Howe comes to Shafovsky. Still no score here in Canberra. We've had almost 12 minutes in bright sunny conditions. Here's Smith going to Thompson. Met there by Holdsworth, who is comfortable defending in the middle of the line at the moment as they go to Mogg from dummy half. Tall and rangy speedster. Smith from inside the 40, looking for a 40-20 kick as well. Patton gets across there, but the ball bounces off its point and now crosses the touchline in goal.
Well, he's been unlucky, hasn't he, Jason Smith? Going for a 40-20 once again. Oh, the ball just takes an awful roll and then goes dead in goal. They get a 20-metre restart. Smith frustrated, but at least he's got the Bulldogs down the right end of the football field for the Canberra side.
Very unlucky. O'Mealy juggles it as he hit the ball at speed. Did well to hang on to it. Stopped there by Croker. And also Withers. Here is Withers again, making another ball, or tackle rather, on Mason, who's popped the ball, which looked to be perhaps a smidgen forward to Patton, who was sniffing around looking for an offload and got one. Here's Matua. Through the hands of Grimordi, away to Tonga. A good fend on David Howe, and backing up is Trent Cutler, who will score the opening try of the game. A Willie Tonga special down that left-hand side. A big fend and too much speed for David Howe.
Defensively, David Howe was great last weekend against Penrith. He come up with some good plays, some good tackles when needed. And how the game turns pretty quickly on a player. Willie Tonga, he had him lined up, and then the big right Duke come out, pushed him away. He broke out of the tackle and had Cutler back in support. And this is a good sign for the Dogs. Willie Tonga slowly starting to get back to his best. A little bit quiet with the first month of football. But is this the game where his season turns? The confidence levels come back and he's about to explode. And Cutler, being given an opportunity in first grade, grabs his first try of the year.
Terrific work by the left centre. Well finished off by the young winger as well now, El Masri. No mistake from close range for the dead-eyed dick of this Bulldogs side. El Masri makes it 6 points still to the Bulldogs as we go down to Greg Alexander.
Yeah, there's been plenty of talk about injuries in rugby league. Benji Marshall, of course, did his shoulder again on Friday night. Sonny Bill yet to return for the Bulldogs. Now, Raiders front rower Michael Wayman made his return to the Premier League last week, which was 12 months to the day since he injured his left ankle. Today in the Premier League, he was carried off after hurting his right ankle. I spoke to him before the kick-off of the main game. You can imagine how he was feeling. The lower leg's in a brace. He won't know the extent until he gets scans tomorrow, but he's certainly not optimistic. He's only just signed a 2-year deal with the club. He's a player with a stack of potential, but unrealised potential. He's only played 13 games in 3 years, so that's shattering news for the Raiders and Michael Wayman.
And it's a real shame for them, because a little bit we've seen of Michael Wayman in first grade. He has, as you said, Greg, enormous potential. And without him for an extended period, once again, it would seem now, as they play the ball, the Bulldogs, they lead 6 points to 0, and now a penalty. Alan Tongue out there, and the first tackle he makes is a high one on Corey Hughes.
Well, the Dogs relieving penalty. Corey Hughes running, yep, contact's high. Hughes looks straight up at the referee, asking where's the penalty. Steve Folkes will be comfortable with his side travelling at the moment, because they have looked pretty good. They've looked steady.
Well, the Bulldogs will wear out the grass at this end of the field if they keep on with the way this game has started over the first 15 minutes, because they've been camped here at the Raiders 20 since the game kicked off, basically. Asatasi now pops the ball out the back. Here's Patton. Dangerous time here for the Raiders. They need to hang on, because if the Bulldogs get warm, they might be unstoppable. Here's Hughes going to Holdsworth. Good ball for O'Mealy. An even better tackle on top of the Raiders goal line. What an effort. And it was made by Michael Hodgson. Here's a chance on the left-hand side. Tonga is stopped. Howe this time cuts him down. Grimaldi comes back to Holdsworth. A cross-field kick. The target is El Masri, who gets up, bats the ball on the ground. It then comes back to Craig Fawley, but the tap down from El Masri was a forward one.
Oh, they were paddling then the Canberra side. They were under all sorts of pressure. And if the repeat set of 6 had come, I don't think they would have held the Bulldogs out. There was numbers whatever way they elected to go, but Holdsworth put the ball in the air, and there was plenty of space between defenders. All they needed someone to go to the line and have people pushing into holes. They would have got a result. And that's something Brett Sherwin would have provided for the football team. Not only has he got a smart kicking game, but he does go to the line and looking for people to get into those holes.
Playing in his second game, Trevor Thurling is out there, and the unmistakable stripe down the middle of the head. And here's a kick from Jason Smith, this time, which crosses the line just outside the 20. He's having no luck, is he?
Well, he can't get one, but he's got to persevere with it. And it's good tactics. Even though they've done a lot of defending, they're going to back their ability in the fitness department to come through at the back end of the game. And they don't want to be able to turn the ball over and give the Dogs good field position to start their 6. And this is a good rest for the Raiders. They can walk to the scrum. The Dogs are walking. They're in no hurry.
Arms over, locks down.
So it's Matua who will feed the scrum for the Bulldogs. They'll take it. Just a safety first play from the scrum win. He'll have it 30 out from his own line. Play it back for Corey Hughes. Here is Andrew Ryan.
Movement! 10 metres, hold!
Andrew Lomu also out there now for Canberra, as Matthew Elliott goes to his bench once again. Patton playing it quickly. Might have put the ball on the ground before he got back to his feet. Here's Hughes getting a bump as he offloaded from Tom Leroy Lars. They've got it through Emilio just outside the Raiders' 30-metre line. Play number 5 here in this set of 6 as Asatasi, a couple wide, goes down the middle of the park. And we'll see if they go with a high ball this time or a crossfield kick once again. Holdsworth takes it to the line. He grubbers. Some pressure here on Marshall Chalk, who has to play at it. Cutler is there, and they've earned themselves 6 more tackles. The Bulldogs are doing it very nicely at the moment.
Yeah, they've had all the possession. They've had all the possession, and the Raiders are fatigued, and that's why Matty Elliott has sent new troops out there. And Holdsworth, that's a lovely kick. That's a strength of his. He's got a nice passing game and a good kicking game. And the chasers was there through Cutler, making the tackle on Chalk. But the Raiders have just got to stay strong throughout this period. They can't allow the Bulldogs to get on a roll and get more points.
Stay back!
They've got to stay strong with their defensive line. And it's just a matter of staying tough when you're under fatigue and making the correct decisions, correct choices.
The Bulldogs coming at them again midway through this first half. They have 1 try through Cutler. We'll see if they can add another one here. Here's Patton looking for a fast play of the ball, but Jason Smith using his experience to slow things down. Matua just taking them on, and that's what you expected from him. They named him at 5'8". Just the third time in his career now he plays the ball down, and got a nudge from Smith as he did so. Holdsworth, second man play from Patton. It comes wider from Ryan to O'Melio. He's inside the 10. They're 9 metres away. Patton going from dummy half. Good Raiders defence, although Patton's able to get the offload away. It comes back for Holdsworth. Here's O'Melio on the charge again. Smith was there with one other. Withers made a stop on him. Now Ryan showing it, going again. And Jason Smith is there, but stripped the ball out. And the Bulldogs will have a penalty right under the black dot.
Well, if you're the Dogs, you keep the pressure on. I know they got El Masri in the team. They are one team that do take the points, and they are going to do it. They probably tend to do this more than any other side, but I thought they may have kept the pressure on then. They're just been grinding away and offloading the Raiders. When they're coming in to make their tackles, they aren't wrapping up the ball. And the offloads are starting to kill them. When there's an offload in a tackle, not only are you making one tackle, you've got to make two, because someone else has got to make an effort and someone else has got to keep moving forward. So that's an area that they have to adjust. But they've made plenty. They've nearly doubled the tackle count.
It's been amazing the amount of tackles that this portion of the field the Raiders have had to make. And really the score could be much more than 8 points to 0 at this time. There you see the tackles. 106 the Raiders have made to 57 for the Bulldogs as Mark O'Melio gets his first break of the day, Greg.
Yeah, that's certainly helped the scoreline, hasn't it? The amount of defence that the Raiders have had to do. Now, it was a tough to pick one. Tough to pick how this game was going to pan out before the kick-off. Just on the half and 5'8" combination of the Bulldogs. Daniel Holdsworth, I know they've had a lot of ball, but he's easing himself into the game. He's concentrating on his strengths, which are his kicking and his passing game. Randy Matua, he's a strong runner, so they should be a good mix. And I think as the game grows older, Daniel Holdsworth can start to look at putting pressure on the defence with a couple of darts himself.
His work has been pretty good so far, Holdsworth. He's looked very much the part, apart from one ball which went to ground when he tried to find Willie Mason coming back on an angle. Here is Mason running at Jason Croker and also Jason Smith. Withers there again has made plenty of tackles himself in the middle of the park. 16 already to this point of the game for the hooker as Matua sticks it under his wing and takes it up towards the halfway line. Hughes comes back to Mason, eager to get his hands on the ball. Surrendering in the tackle was the call from Jason Robinson. On the last play, it comes back to Holdsworth. His general play kicking has found the turf between Shafovsky and Chalk for most of the game so far. Frawley this time, though, was back on the left-hand side and was able to take it on the full.
And this is where the Raiders need their outside men to come in and help out their forwards. Their forwards are doing it tough, their hands on hips. They need to still stay with their structure, though, Canberra. Now starting to drift away from the play the ball. But they're all bunched.
Surrender! 10 hold!
They've worked it back up towards the 40-metre line. They go to the right-hand side. Here is Croker. He'll play it just short of the halfway line. He lost the ball there under pressure, and there was no hand, says the referee, from a Bulldog defender. Again, the Raiders make a mistake and put themselves under more pressure.
Well, when you're under fatigue, you try and get up and play the ball quickly because you know that that's what your team needs. But sometimes you just got to sacrifice that speed to make sure you hold on to the ball and get up and play it properly. Croker trying to do the right thing by his team. And there you see Mark O'Melio getting a well-earned rest from his coach.
Stay behind it, Jason. Out.
Great in the early exchanges.
10 hit-ups, the first player in the game to reach double figures as far as carries is concerned, as the Bulldogs have it again. They're 50 metres away. O'Melio plays it. Comes to Andrew Ryan. Down a short side, met there in a strong tackle. Alan Tung was in there with Todd Carney. Here's Patton. Chris Armitage out there taking the place of O'Melio. And he'll play it outside the 30. Holdsworth. Ball back on the inside for Mason. The Raiders have maintained a very straight line so far in this game, and it's served them well for the most part. They go left. It's where they've looked most dangerous, the Bulldogs. Good tackle this time. Howe was up in the face of Willie Tonga when he got the pass. They've got one more tackle to hang on for, though. Here's Holdsworth. Little chip over the top. Waiting it for Emilio and also El Masri. Knocked on by the Raiders. And it will be 6 more tackles coming up to the Bulldogs from a scrum feed. 10 metres out. Well, how long can they hang on for?
Well, they're a genius if they hang on for this set of 6. But this is what the coaches would have been speaking about. They would have run these scenarios by these players a million times in their practice and pre-season training when they're under fatigue. Righto, we've got to defend our goal line. We're going to do it again. This is what will happen in a game. And the Raiders, they're getting put under plenty of pressure and they're going to respond.
Here's Tonga putting on that famous step of his, and he almost got past them. He'll play it 5 metres out. They go from Matua. Here's Grimaldi. Shepherded towards the sideline there by Croker and also Howe. Luke Patton comes back to Corey Hughes at first receiver. Here's Holdsworth. Mason will stand and give it back to Holdsworth. Emilio and a swing and a miss. He tried to tip it on. It bounced up for El Masri. It worked out pretty well, and then the winger, who is hard to stop, was cut down, but only just by Andrew Lomu, and then lost the ball getting back to his feet.
Well, it must do their confidence the world of good, Canberra. And the message has got to get out there that they've got to get their completions. But they're defending great. Really, their scramble defence has been phenomenal. And the only time the Bulldogs have looked like putting points on was when Willie Tonga actually made that break. And it was one missed tackle.
Locks down. Willie, head in.
It is the only line break in the game to this point. We've had almost 27 minutes here in Canberra. And, of course, supplied the try for Trent Cutler. Mock plays it for Smith. Furling, a strong run. Takes it up towards the 30-metre line where Withers comes back to Carney, an inside ball. Good run there by Tom Leroy Lars. He was met by some solid defence, though, once again. They've used up 3 tackles. Here's Thurling putting his hand up, one of the fresher men on the park for the Raiders. Here's Croker getting outside. In fact, he put the ball in the tackle there of Willie Tonga. Well, they're just killing themselves. They're hanging on by a fingernail defensively at the moment, the Raiders, but it can't last, surely, if they keep giving the Bulldogs possession.
Well, the last 2 times Croker's had the ball, he's turned it over. You just can't do it. It's football suicide.
And now a penalty off the back of it as well.
You can't drag him down after I call held.
I got to disagree with this penalty. There was still movement in the tackle, even though he's calling held. What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to just take your hands off, and all of a sudden it's a quick play the ball. Look, he's calling held, yeah. Everyone takes their hand off, quick play the ball, the Dogs roll through.
That is one factor. I think the referees sometimes are too quick to call held. On this occasion, it's going to perhaps cost the Canberra Raiders 2 points. The tackle came to a conclusion just after Jason Robinson called held.
Especially when there's movement. If there's a definite stoppage there, and then you want to go on with the tackle, and then you drag him down, I've got no argument with that. Because what they're trying to do is slow the play of the ball. But on that occasion, they just have movement all the way through.
What the referees are trying to do in also situations where they do call held where a player maybe is on the move is to try and prevent the possibility of injury, but in that occasion there was no suggestion that anyone was going to end up in an awkward position in a tackle, and it's given El Masri the chance from right in front, 33 metres out, to make it, and he does, a 10-point scoreline. Here's the tackle once again. And the Raiders, Jason Smith and Lincoln Withers, couldn't believe it when they heard the referee's whistle. El Masri, with a bit of help from the upright, makes it 10 points to 0. The Bulldogs edge further away from the home team. Perhaps Steve Folkes gesturing it could have been 4 or 5 tries they might have scored to this point there. They have had a ton of possession, the Bulldogs. Here's Shafovsky. See if the Raiders can force a mistake at this end of the field and give themselves a chance in attack. They've had, well, barely the one raid so far inside the Bulldogs 20 and ended early with a mistake.
Well, they need to be able to force an error or get some good, decent sets starting in their 30-metre zone, Canberra. In the Bulldogs' 30-metre zone, I should say. It's always difficult when you get your sets starting in the back end of the field, but the Bulldogs have played it nicely. They've had plenty of control in the game, and if that's what Steve Folkes was looking for coming into this contest, he'd be extremely pleased, because the halves have certainly given them guidance, and the kicking game's been spot on.
Adam Perry out there now at dummy half, working things, and he feeds a ball to Holdsworth, who picks out Marshall Chalk on the full. He brings it back and has met a good tackle by Matua, who's known as a defensive specialist in the back row or playing in the 5/8 role as he is today. Frawley comes in to take a carry. Hasn't had too many touches of the ball so far, Craig Frawley. He'll need some in this final 10 minutes or so of the first half, with his forwards still doing it tough. Ben Jones has some tape around the head after receiving a cut. He'll play it just outside the 30. Mogg. Haven't really looked like making too many dents in this Bulldogs defensive line so far, the Raiders. Perhaps they're out of juice after doing it tough inside their own 20 defensively. Last play here is Chalk, gives it to Jason Smith. This kick down the middle of the park after going so close to a couple of 40-20s. And it's El Masri who brings it back just outside the 20 for the Bulldogs.
Well, lucky there, Canberra. They end up on fifth tackle being on a sideline. And when you're on a sideline fifth tackle, it makes it extremely easy for the opposition to put some pressure on your kicking game. And while he didn't have the pressure applied, he still didn't have time because people were coming out. He kicked it straight to El Masri, and all of a sudden the Bulldogs looking to attack to Matua, and he's looked strong today.
Oh, and stopped, but only just by Croker. He had some support with Holdsworth coming quickly, but he went to ground before he could get the pass away. Here is Grimaldi, picked up and taken to ground by David Howe. No call from the referee. I expected to hear the whistle there for a dangerous throw-looking tackle. The Raiders will be relieved they didn't hear the whistle, and now it's Frawley who brings it back out towards the 20. He almost put the ball down before he was back on his feet there. The Raiders fans getting vocal of trying to help them get a penalty here, working away from their own end. Now Smith comes wide to Thurling, who shows a hand there and almost got a pass away to Carney. They need something. Here is Withers, putting it back on the inside for Smith, but he stops. Play for here. That should have been a penalty. It will be. Nate Miles, a little leg pull on Jason Smith. It had to be a penalty. And the Raiders will breathe a huge sigh of relief.
Well, they needed that, didn't they? Nate Miles, he needed to let go. Instead, he rises from the ground with Jason Smith's foot. And Elliott yelling instructions from the sideline. They've got to show some patience in this set of 6. Good kick out. They're going to start a set from inside the Bulldogs 30. But they can't be tempted to force the issue. Play with some patience.
Here's Thurling taking it to the line. Withers got a hand to it. Knocked the ball on the first play. It was an awkward pass for him. And Thurling perhaps should have been happy to take the tackle and go to ground. Here he is.
I've got to wonder what players say when they're in a huddle, when they've got time to kick it out, and what the actual plans are being put in place. And I'm sure someone would have just said, listen, we'll work to a field position and we'll put on this play. I don't think in the game plan would have been, right, take it up, offload it, and we'll play you on the back of that, especially when you've been put under pressure. We'll play it nice and control. We'll have a steady set. If at the end of it there's nothing on, well, we'll try and get it in the end goal. We'll have a repeat
Arms
set.
over, blocks down. Let's go.
You saw the completion rate, 8 of 16 for the Raiders so far. They've just cruelled themselves. They're 6.5 out from the break, and really they've done enormously well to only be behind by 10 points. But you've got to wonder just how much gas they've used up in this first half effort to stay in touch with the Bulldogs and what it will mean at the back end of this game. Here's Ahmed offloading to Perry. The forwards are standing and giving passes. Here's another one. They merely got a ball away. Good contact there. The Tua is able to hang on to the ball and then tries to work over David Howell while he's on the ground. Here's Holdsworth giving it to Nate Miles. He'll play it just outside the Raiders' 40-metre line. Perry comes to Holdsworth, who chips in behind the line. Chafofsky desperate to get to it in the field of play. He'll pick it up back in the in goal when he does, and then surrenders in the tackle. Right on top of him, with Holdsworth perched above them as Frawley brings it out and then dumps it out the back. Mogg luckily was ready for it, otherwise it might have been another Raiders mistake. Fast play the ball from Mogg. They need a roll on it. Here's Tongue trying to do exactly that.
Roll on a bit of individual brilliance by some player.
Carney goes to Croker. He's had an unhappy game so far with his hands in this first half. He tries to pinch a couple of metres with Arbin on top of him. Now Tongue gives it to Thurling, who was rattled in the previous hit-up where they made the mistake at the other end of the field. He's OK to take a carry here, and now from dummy half, it's Withers who puts the kick in. It sits up off its point for Trent Cutler, and he'll bring it back out. The only try scorer in a low-scoring affair here in Canberra. 10 points to nil. We're 5 out from the break.
Well, the Raiders would be happy to only going at 10-0, wouldn't they? Matthew early to be doing handstands.
Here's El Masri stepping out of dummy half. They've got them pedalling backwards suddenly. They're making huge metres. There's offloads coming by the dozen at the moment. Now Patton staying alive with the ball. He's stopped, but only just by Carney. Perry goes to Matua. Here's Tonga. In the tackle there with Howell, and Howell's defence has been good, apart from the one mistake which has cost them 6 points. Here's Holdsworth. Crossfield kick again. Out for Emilio, who's posted on his own. Craig Frawley did very well, and now has been called to have knocked this ball on. And I'm going to say it looks as though it might have been a very tough call against the winger.
Well, the referee is saying that he caught it, knocked it back, but then he dragged it forward. And you've got to say he's right. Harsh, but right.
It was the second contact which propelled the ball forward. And Jason Robinson, terrific call with the help, I'm sure, of his touchline official. He looked a harsh call initially, but the replay showed all. Here's Matua now, the Bulldogs. Could be a blow to them mentally if they go into the break having scored just the one try. Ahmed almost rectified that by going very close. He'll play it back to Perry. O'Mealy runs a decoy. It comes to Ryan. Here's El Masri, a chance out wide. Frawley did well, and Masri got up to go again and almost snuck over. Ryan looking for the line, reaches out to score, and that's a 4-pointer to the Bulldogs captain. They were scrambling the Raiders, but eventually they had to run out of numbers, and they did in the right-hand corner. And the Bulldogs make it 14-0.
And in that set, the Raiders were complaining of a forward pass. But you thought the toll, well, that it was just going to take its toll on Canberra, the amount of defensive work that they were doing. Just a simple play by Andrew Ryan. Quick play the ball. I don't know whether he played it properly, did he? Did it look as though he played it properly?
It was a fast play, the ball. The referee was on top of the action and had no problem with it. Now Masri was bouncing back to his feet. And a problem here for Adam Mogg, it would appear, in the corner of the field. He's just outside the corner post. And there is some concern for him. The Canberra trainers looking at his neck and also head region. They have their problems, the Raiders. They're down 14-0. Adam Mogg looks to be in some doubt as to his continuing in the game at the moment. In the meantime, Hazem El Masri. 5 metres in from the touchline. He threads the needle. and makes it 16 points to 0. Let's take a look at this again here. Adam Mogg coming over. The injury happened when he collided with his own teammate, Jason Smith. Well, you would have to say it was a nasty collision. Coming across, it really crunched the neck there of Adam Mogg. And Hazem El Masri under pressure there, getting a foot on the ball, playing it backwards. And, well, he's still just outside the playing area as the Raiders go for a short kickoff and come up with possession. William Zillman is out there taking the place of Adam Mogg with just over 60 seconds remaining in this first half. We'll see what they can do. First part of the equation would be to hang on to the ball for at least 6 tackles. We'll see if they can achieve that. Here's Sterling playing it. It's Withers. Bypasses Thompson to give it to Smith. Croker, the pass to his shoulder was put down. They have just mustered nothing with the ball in their hands in this first half, the home team.
Well, they haven't. I suppose when you've been doing that amount of defence, it's pretty hard to keep your wits about you. But Jason Smith, the pass, if it had been out in front, Croker was a big hope of going over and scoring a try.
No ball, guys.
Time off for the moment
Arms over.
as we retrieve a football.
Go.
Let's play on. The referee's whistle blew, everyone stopped, and now it's play on. It was time back on. Now a mistake there. It looked as though perhaps there was a, yes, Grimaldi. I thought we were going to get a whistle there for a knock on
The stretcher was on the field,
in the play of the ball, but in fact it is time out with the stretcher being called for Adam Mogg. So
Stretchers on the field.
we'll have a delay here with 14 seconds remaining in this first half. It was a very awkward position he ended up in, with Jason Smith coming over the top rather, trying to make that tackle on Hazem El Masri. Here is Mogg in the tackle there, and you see Smith, his chest and left shoulder region colliding with the top of Adam Mogg's head.
Oh yeah, it looks nasty. But as is the case with a lot of NRL players, when they are put in those situations, the medical attention that they do receive is of the highest quality. They are in the best possible hands, and they will take great care of him.
We have barely a couple of tackles left in this first half, so we'll give the players something of an extra break going into half-time. If the Raiders can get any sort of ball retention going, complete a few sets, there might be a chance in this game, but at the moment, the Bulldogs are just cruising and laughing on the bench. Willie Mason.
Well, it's a game that goes for 80 minutes, and I just hope that the Bulldogs, they haven't thought that the game's over. Because one thing you do know with the Raiders, if they can get their fair share of possession, and if the results of the first half are reversed, you know, the Raiders can put points on. But it's amazing, isn't it? 79 more tackles. It's going to be in the 80s, more tackles in one half of football. Just shows you how well they've controlled the game, the Bulldogs.
It's a huge workload they've given themselves, the Raiders. You see 181 tackles, made the Bulldogs just 102. Mark O'Mealy, we mentioned 10 hit-ups in his first stint before replaced by Chris Armitt. He hasn't been too happy, say reports, about playing off the bench to open up this 2006 season. He started the last couple of games against the Newcastle Knights and again today against the Raiders. So while being named on the bench, he's been out there, as you would come to expect from the opening whistle, and doing pretty well for the Bulldogs in the most part, especially when you go back to that game against the Tigers back in round 2. They were ominous that night at Telstra Stadium. They've battled for points here today, given that they have had set after set inside the Raiders' 20-metre zone. Adam Mogg safely on the stretcher now. He gets a hand from the Raiders fans here at Canberra Stadium. And we'll bring you the latest on the condition, of course, of Adam Mogg with Greg Alexander as soon as we have a report from the Raiders medical staff. Matthew Elliott watching on as Adam Mogg is taken from the field. You would assume given a full check out in the dressing room then, I'm sure, for some scans. And maybe the Calvary Hospital, which is just up the road here at Bruce in the western suburbs of Canberra. 5 seconds remaining in this first half with play back underway. Perry will play it. The Bulldogs lead 16 points to 0. Grimaldi takes it from dummy half, and that will do us. A 2-try performance in the first 40 minutes has given the Bulldogs a lead of 16. We will take a break at Canberra Stadium on NRL Sunday and come back to look at all the incidents and highlights from the first half. Stay with us. We'll be back right after this.
Keep up.
Well, the Raiders cheer girls haven't had too much to get excited about in the first 40 minutes. Their side's completion rate was terrible in the first half, and we'll see what they can come up with. They trail 16 points to 0. The Bulldogs on track to make amends for a big loss to the Newcastle Knights at Energy Australia Stadium 2 weeks ago. They're coming off the bye and trying to become the first team in 2006 to win, having had the bye the previous week. At 6 o'clock, NRL Sunday will continue on Fox Sports 1. We'll bring you the Eels and the Panthers from Parramatta Stadium, the battle of the Western Sydney teams. And don't forget, tomorrow night, live at 8:30 p.m, we'll bring you NRL Scoreboard. Smith, Daly and others will dissect all the action from round 5 of this Telstra Premiership. Alan Tongue is out there ready for action, and I'm sure you'll see plenty of it with the Raiders once again having injury problems. They've got some players out of action coming into this game, and look at these metres gained in the first half. As you'd expect, all the big numbers made by the Bulldogs.
Yeah, Tonga threw a run earlier in the game. Asatasi and O'Mealy and Mason really have set the platform. And Matua back to his running game at 5'8", looks good.
Quinn Shafovsky with the kickoff. It'll come down to Luke Patton, who gives it to Mark O'Mealy, who made plenty of carries in his first stint on the field. Was back out there to end the first half and takes the first carry of the second half. Chris Armitt now. He takes it just outside the Bulldogs' 20. There weren't too many problems with the Raiders' defence in the first half, and we'll see what they can do when they get the ball in their hands in this second period. Nate Miles plays it for Perry. Holdsworth back on the inside for Armitt, who gets it to the halfway line. They've made good metres off the restart. Perry goes back to the short side as Holdsworth, with the wingers up in the line, kicks down that left-hand side as the Raiders look at it, and Shafovsky has it here. He'll play it at his own 20-metre line.
Good start, though, wasn't it, by the Bulldogs? They would have spoken about the importance of the next 15 minutes in this contest. They would have spoken about the Raiders being more aggressive and try and lift the tempo of the game. And they needed to match it. And here they come up with a penalty, a relieving one for Canberra, even though it's early in the match. They get a chance to start a set of 6 in the attacking zone. They had a couple of chances in the first half and continually turned it over.
Did not complete a set of 6 tackles in the Bulldogs half in the first 40 minutes, the Raiders. A damning stat. They didn't complete 3 sets of 6 in a row. Here is Thompson. He'll play it 30 out from the Bulldogs line. Withers waiting at dummy half. Sends it back on the inside where they take it up towards the 20-metre line. I'll play it there. Here's Thurling. A good run. He almost got in between O'Mealy and Perry. They stop him 15 metres away. A chance to get on the board straight away as Withers takes it to the line. He gives a ball delayed pass as well. Coming late to get there was Craig Frawley. He'll play it back to Smith. He goes to the left-hand side from Todd Carney. He bounces into his own teammate Trevor Thurling and then Troy Thompson is dumped to the ground midfield. Carney playing it. Comes from Croker on the last. Smith, a pass to his left-hand side. They didn't get a kick away to put some pressure on the Bulldogs to bring it away from their own in goal. Another incomplete set. And the first half begins as second half begins as the first half finished.
Well, they're all flat. I think they were assuming that the kick was going to be put in, and then all of a sudden when they decided to run, the Bulldogs up and in defence just swarmed on them. They needed to have someone out the back to play to.
Here's Ben Jones doing the headgear in the second half, making a tackle on Andrew Ryan. Now O'Mealy carries it forward. He bumped into Thurling and then kept it going with a second phase play. Matua going. Stopped by David Howell and also Jason Croker. El Masri gets to dummy half. Holdsworth shifts it on to Miles. A nice ball out the back to Ryan. Great flick pass by the reserve forward. Frawley taking a long time to get off Andrew Ryan as Perry takes it down the short side. He grubbers. Chasing through as El Masri. Shafovsky gets there first and then comes back to be stopped by the winger and also Andrew Emilio.
Yeah, good kicking game by the Dogs. Holdsworth really controlling that part of the game. And the Raiders, if they can, they've got to be able to apply a little bit of pressure. Holdsworth's a good kicker. Perry, when he comes on, kicks out a dummy half. And maybe Corey Hughes, but the majority of kicks are coming from Daniel Holdsworth. So if they can apply a little bit of pressure there, maybe put him under pressure, the back three can get a bit of decent ball.
Here's Smith, an inside pass, and Marshall Chalk was almost away on the last play. They picked up a gain of just 29 metres off the back of the Shafovsky kick return. El Masri did well to get back there and take it on the full. They've got good service out of their back three so far in this game, the Bulldogs. As we go downstairs to Greg for the half-time report.
And never great to see a player stretch it off with a neck injury, but the good news for Adam Mogg, there was full movement in his arms and legs. The ambulance did arrive at half-time. They've taken him to hospital only for precautionary reasons. I think he will be all right. Now, the ball control, it's been ordinary in the first half, in the second half for the Raiders, as it was in the first half. But I think the bigger problem is that they didn't really threaten to break the Dogs' defensive line. If they were looking dangerous and just having trouble completing their six, I think Matthew Elliott would be much more optimistic. They have to build some pressure, which they haven't done as the Dogs break through.
Matua goes straight through and Patton will score under the posts. And it might just be a blue and white afternoon here in Canberra. The Dogs fans are celebrating. They split them wide open. And that might just take the edge off the Raiders for good.
Well, Rennie Matua hitting the hole. O'Mealy, lovely short ball. He's been outstanding in the first 5 minutes, O'Mealy. In the early 20 minutes of the game, he really took it upon himself to lead this Bulldogs forward pack. He's been running with aggression, and all of a sudden, the Raiders, assuming that he was just going to carry the ball forward, he gets a pass in his game. And Matua on the edge hits the hole, has Patton backing up in support. That's the start that the Dogs were looking for.
And it could sap the wind right out of the sails of the Raiders. Here's El Masri from right in front. He'll make it 22 points to nil. And the Raiders aren't a team known for putting on points in bursts. And it's hard to see them coming back from 22 points to nil down. They would be hoping for some complacency from the Bulldogs, perhaps in the next 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, but it's all to do with ball control, isn't it? I mean, the simple fact of the matter is Canberra, every time they've had it, they've turned it over 50% of the time. And the Dogs' completion rate is near perfect. They made a couple of errors early in the game, but other than that, they've been great.
O'Mealy it is who plays it for Perry as it comes to Arnott. The weight of possession has just killed the Raiders. 65% against them in the first half, and here is Nate Miles. The Bulldogs, while they might have struggled to score tries here this afternoon, they've controlled the football very well, made very few mistakes themselves. Now Tonga getting an offload. The offload count must be quite impressive. 13 for the Bulldogs.
Well, while they've played control football, they've still got 5 internationals in their side, the Bulldogs, and you throw in, you know, a Patton and El Masri and Rennie Matua. They've got players that can do something special.
Jafovsky work it up towards the 30-metre line. Plays it back to David Howe. Stopping a good tackle there. They've really battled to work it away from their own end. They've hardly made a dent in the Bulldogs' line. Here's Thompson, taking it just over the 40. And they're kicking again, you would think, from around the halfway line. Here's Jason Smith, but he picked out Matua.
You knew you were offside, Rennie, then you got involved.
Clever work by the veteran. He knew he was out of the play, Matua. He chose to get involved. And Smith barreled him backwards 3 or 4 metres until the referee had no option but to blow a penalty.
Well, he worked it well, Jason Smith. And for the next 30 minutes, this is the part of the field where the Raiders need to be. They need to be down here. And at least if they can start getting some momentum, they would have identified weaknesses in this Bulldogs outfit, but they just haven't had a chance to do it while they've been fresh. Everything's been done under pressure.
We'll see what the Raiders can produce here. Another chance in the Bulldogs 20. Here's Smith showing it, going in behind Alan Tongue. Well, surely that had to be a penalty. He went through a hole that was created by a decoy runner. Jason Robbins says, no, that was okay. And now they'll get a penalty as well.
No.
It should have been one against them.
Okay, 3 penalties since the start of the half.
Yeah, 3.
Okay, that one, just a cheap shot with the forearm on the head. You know we're going to get that, and you know it's going to go against you, okay? Talk to Adam.
What about the shepherd on there? You didn't see that? Or?
No, I was comfortable. There was no obstruction there. All the way back.
Well, it doesn't have to be an obstruction for it to be a penalty, because if the decoy runner creates a hole, which Jason Smith then runs through, as he did, that's enough for it to be a penalty. Here is Thompson, playing it to Lincoln Withers, who bounces off the tackle there of Ryan. He's only a couple of metres away. Hodgson. Alan Tongue now. Stops by Nate Miles, just 8 metres away. 10 minutes gone in this second half. The only point scoring has been done by the Bulldogs. Holdsworth touched the ball, and the tackle count continues on. The Raiders might have got a piece of luck when they weren't penalised for an obstruction play. They've got no luck on this occasion, though. Jason Smith will put the crossfield bomb up. A chance for David Howe, who was flying for it. And it came off the Canberra centre. It'll be a restart from the 20 for the Bulldogs.
Well, no doubt in the world it should have been a penalty to Canberra. But on the back of their kick, Howe comes through. He does touch the football. He's got the height advantage over Trent Cutler. But Cutler stood his ground.
Emilio playing it. Perry gives it off to Nate Miles as they take it outside their 30. O'Mealy. Very impressive game from him. And if you're talking about possible Australian teams for the May 5th test against the New Zealand side, well, then O'Mealy, you would think, has to be there somewhere.
You've locked him up.
Perry.
There,
Play it back to Ryan. Here's Holdsworth kicking again. And the ball will skew towards the sideline and find it just inside the Raiders' 10. And they're doing it on cruise control at the moment.
Well, that's all they have to do. They've got the time in their favour. And Holdsworth, while he hasn't taken the ball to the line, he's mixed his kicking game up well. And that's a strong point of his.
Brent Sherwin, of course, was in action in reserve grade for the Bulldogs here this afternoon. And from what we've seen so far of Daniel Holdsworth, Brent Sherwin won't be getting his number 7 jumper back next week when the Bulldogs take on the Rabbitohs at Telstra Stadium.
It would be a pretty brave call to put him straight back into the position
Stay behind. Down.
after he's failed to follow instructions against the Newcastle Knights. And all of a sudden in this game, the halves combination have been working well.
It's gone to the horizontal.
Well, a penalty for the Raiders. And Jason Croker being carried back like he was a sack of wheat by Roy Asatasi and company. He went up past the horizontal, said the referee, and that was the reason for the penalty. And Michael Hodgson is back out there. Jason Croker comes from the field for the Raiders. He won't look back on his 298th game in first grade for them with too much fondness. Unless, of course, they mount some sort of comeback in this 27 minutes that remains here. It's a long way back from the big hole they've created for themselves as Smith goes away to Todd Carney, who hasn't been able to show what he can do here this afternoon. Looked up with a heavy tackle there, taking the ground at the halfway line as Hodgson. Something a legs tackle there by Asatasi. Withers goes wide, comes to Ben Jones, who takes it down to within 30 of the Bulldogs line. Last play here. They need a result off a kick at some stage, and this time they just chip it in behind the line. The bounce came back to Withers, who couldn't hang on to it.
Play the knock on out here, last tackle.
That tells you everything you need to know about this game today for the Raiders.
Oh, they tried something on the fifth tackle. The bounce was a good one for Lincoln Withers, but unfortunately Patton was coming through and just knocked the ball out of Withers' hands.
Let's go downstairs to Greg Alexander.
Yeah, look, I know the Bulldogs are in cruise control and they could certainly win the match by doing that, but we've got 25 minutes left, and I think it's important that the Bulldogs get these combinations working. Of course, we've been talking a lot about the halfback and 5'8", Holdsworth and Rennie Matua. It's a good time now in this match to really work hard. They can rack up plenty of points, and that'll do plenty for their confidence. The Bulldogs, they're been inconsistent. We spoke to Andrew Ryan before the game. He said, well, the first month has been inconsistent. They've got to get some consistency in their games. And I know it's a new halves combination, but they've got to improve quickly. They haven't got time to muck around for the next couple of weeks, because when they come up against an opposition that is on their game, they have to be ready for it.
Safosky again taking it out of his in goal and just making it back to the field of play. And surrendering, Marshall Chalk went through the line like a missile. He comes to Luke Patton and O'Mealy, who gets back there to stop him. What a run by the winger. Now they're going to roll on. They go wide quickly. Smith comes to David Howe, who had nobody outside him because Marshall Chalk is the right winger. Is on the other side of the field, of course, the man who made the long break. Here's Smith. They'll stop him just outside the Bulldogs 20. He gets tangled up here with Tony Grimaldi. He got some attention over the top from Luke Patton, I think it might have been. Here's Withers, a dummy half. Going to Safosky, who puts a mini bomb up, a chance for the Raiders. It came off their hands, though, straight to a Bulldog. And it was Luke Patton who came up with it. El Masri now works it away from dummy half. A chance created by the Raiders, which goes begging at the end. Willie Mason is back out there. Perry goes to Asatasi. Comes to Alan Tongue and others. Well, if the Raiders were going to mount some sort of comeback, you had the impression they had to score on that last set of 6. Had a golden chance, but just couldn't finish it off.
Don't go. You're early out of
O'Mealy playing it for Perry. O'Mealy will come from the field as Holdsworth. Trying to get a ball to Willie Mason. It's play on. The pass went backwards. Grimaldi picks it up. Now he comes wide. He links up with Tonga, who couldn't pick it up. And then David Howe, scooping it up, will be taken across the sideline. We'll see if there's any advantage. In fact, there'll be a penalty go the way of the Raiders for pushing him across the sideline. There was a bit of a push and shove off the back of it. Jason Smith was hot.
They played the advantage and called him held. Called him held. Then he's dragged it across and he's gone on with it. Let's call it.
Jason Smith was a little steamed up there as the push and shove came on, and it might have been for this incident back at the other end of the field. He took the ball to the line. Luke Patton there came up with a bit of contact around the head on Jason Smith. Remember, Jason Smith was taken from the field in the minutes before the field goal in golden point time by Clinton Safosky that won the game for the Raiders last week. So he's got a couple of knocks around the head in recent times. Is Tom Leroy Glass. Takes it inside the 40. Here's Withers. going to Smith. The short ball for Hodgson. But they've been outplayed in the forward pack by this Bulldogs set today. Here's Withers going past Tunk. Smith, a little flick pass to Shafovsky. He got past Holdsworth's tackle. He'll play it after 4, just outside the Bulldogs 20. Smith to Hodgson. Picked up with a good tackle again. Asatasi was there. His defence has been first rate today. Slow play the ball. John Gruner's out there in 17 for the Bulldogs. Here's Smith on the last, dumping it back. They have nothing to put on and turn it over very meekly.
Well, you put that down to the good Bulldogs defence. I mean, they're hitting aggressively, they're moving forward, they're taking no dummies, and their scramble has been excellent. Not that the Raiders have been able to throw too much at them, but when they've looked under pressure, they've responded. And the front rowers are certainly doing a big job. The experienced players, I think, for the Dogs have really led the way.
They've bounced back from the effort against the Knights 2 weeks ago, that's for sure. O'Mealy taking a breather as Mason is out there. Now John Green. Was stopped there by Hodgson. There was some contact above the shoulders.
No, but it was high.
And the Bulldogs will find the line and come on the attack once again.
Well, it's amazing 1 week of football, isn't it? Last weekend, the Raiders, with the ball, they look to create plenty of opportunities, but today they've looked as though they've nil of ideas. And I know they've been fatigued, but last weekend was a different football side, and in this competition it just goes to show you can't be off your game. You've got to be up every week, and it's difficult to do for 26 weeks.
Here's Perry from dummy half. It comes from Holdsworth. A switch back to Matua. He goes to Grimaldi. Was swung to ground by Howe. He'll play it 10 metres away from the Raiders line. Here's Green. Perry again from dummy half. We'll go to Holdsworth. Ryan on that right-hand side, which he just about lives in. Here's Asatasi going to Holdsworth. A good ball for Emilio, looking for the line, and he reached out to put it down as well.
Tackle 6, mate. I'm just not sure whether he's put that on the line, please.
Try number 4 for the Bulldogs. Jason Robinson wants to remove all doubts, but he got there, and it will make it 26 points to 0.
Well, it certainly removed all doubts that the Raiders had an opportunity to win this game if that's a 4-pointer. Does he lose control here? No, that's good. That's a try, and slams it down. 4-pointer, playing in the right centre position. He needed to have a big game this afternoon, Emilio, given the fact and speculation that Sonny Bill will make his comeback next Monday. And they're talking about slotting him into that right centre position. Won't they have some attack when he comes back?
What a game that will be for the Rabbitohs. 0-4 start to the season, facing the Bulldogs with Sonny Bill Williams coming back into action. There's the green lights. It'll be a fairly cruisy afternoon for our video referee Bill Harrigan, who's been sitting back with a cup of coffee and the feet up on the desk, just watching this one play itself out. Andrew Emilio has the 3rd try of his career, and Hazem El Masri in a moment will extend his own personal points tally from wide out, you'd imagine.
Well, there was a case of just going to the line and someone prepared to either run into a hole and expect the collision and keep your legs pumping and going through a tackle and then slamming it down. A lot of their tries have come from close range.
Here is El Masri. He came into this game needing 12 points to become the 8th player all time to reach 1,600 points in first grade. Oh, it was a low zooting kick, which didn't have much height on it, but it had enough to get across the crossbar. He makes it 28 points to 0. Laurie, you do the maths and add up how many points he scored today, will you?
He scored a try and 4 goals, Warren, so that'd take it to 12.
Well, he hasn't scored a try, but he's kicked a few goals.
I'm giving him a try.
He almost scored a couple of tries. He went within a ball's width a couple of times. Now a ball comes loose.
Had to be hands in there.
Jason Croker got it. Now he comes to Withers, who has it 10 metres away. Here is Leroy Blas. He'll play it. 5 metres away from the Bulldogs' line. Can they score a try? Tongue goes to Carney. Hodgson aiming towards the post. Stopped there by Green and also Asatasi. Here's Tongue again. Going to David Howe. Cutting to the left-hand side of the field. Shafovsky changing the angle. They've used up 3 tackles. Tongue comes back to Carney. He had options right and left. Took it himself. But again, the Bulldogs were there waiting for him through John Green. Here's Croker. Gives a ball to David Howe. He gets in behind Willie Tonga. He came again to stop him with Grimaldi over the top. Last play for Canberra. So it comes from Croker to Carney. The kick looks to be their best option. Now Masri is out there and took it in the hands. And he was in the own goal area when he did. The Bulldogs would bring it back out to their 20. What a take by Hazemel Magic.
Yeah, good stuff. That's as good as a try, isn't it? That's as good as a try. Give him one anyhow. Hazem. But when they're defending like this, the Bulldogs, they create an illusion. They create the effect that there is space around the middle, and that's where you try and go with your short passes, and all of a sudden from outside in, they jam you.
Here goes Willie Mason, who had Daniel Holdsworth with him. He held on to it. Now Ryan goes back to the right-hand side to find Emilio. Holdsworth as wide to Matua. Withers came up quickly. Oh, Grimaldi and Chalk came together. They went down like dominoes. Matua dumps it out the back. Patton puts it down. Just when it was building out to something special from the Bulldogs, the general couldn't come up with a ball. Let's go back and take a look at Willie Mason. Just getting through the line. He split the gap there pretty easily. Ben Jones and Carney couldn't come up with him. And he passed to Holdsworth. Holdsworth might have had the speed to get to the line. It's
a scary sight, isn't it, for an edge defender? You're not the biggest guy in the world, and neither is the fullback. Then you see Shafovsky coming up with a good tackle.
Let's get in. Out.
Shafovsky it is. He tries to step his way through the Bulldogs line off the back of the scrum wing. As we said, the Bulldogs next week take on the Rabbitohs at Telstra. The Raiders will be here again at home next Saturday night when they play the Warriors. And both teams will be coming off a loss. The Warriors going down earlier today. 8-point losers, or rather 12-point losers to the Sea Eagles. It's going to be a big margin here that the Raiders go down by. Carney, inside ball for Tom Leroy Lars. The former Bronco will play it. 5 on his own side of halfway. Tongue giving it to Croker. Rubbing in behind them, looking for Marshall Chalk, who picked it up and then tried to flick the ball back on the inside, but it just went forward.
Take it in 10 metres, guys. In line with the touching.
Good effort.
Very good effort.
Marshall Chalk was coming along the sideline. Croker on the toe. Have a look at this. Good hands. Geez, I think he might have been unlucky.
Here he is.
Oh, no. He put the leg on the namesake.
Willie Tonga playing it for Trent Cutler. Scored the opening try of the game back in the 14th minute. There's Mason.
They haven't played a lot to Willie Tonga since then, really, have they?
Not really. You'd have thought they'd have been going back to him all the time. Now a penalty against the Raiders. David Howe caught up in the play of the ball here.
That's your first and last time.
And Willie Mason looks to be a man amongst boys at the moment, the way he's just taking it to the line and almost monstering defenders.
Well, we said it earlier in the game. It was a big challenge for the Bulldogs forward pack. They're experienced players and they were missing their half, so obviously they needed to play to their strengths, and I think they've done that quite well. Very conservative game plan, but it all starts in the middle. The Raiders just haven't controlled their go forward. It's just allowed Holsworth and Mature a bit more time with the footy, and they haven't been having to make rush decisions. They haven't been put under pressure, so it's a good initiation for that pair.
Head down, Andrew.
Especially when they wouldn't have worked with a lot of contact in front of them.
And David Howe plays it quickly in the tackle there of Tonga. Clinton Chafofsky. There's nothing like the 70-plus points they conceded, of course, to the Newcastle Knights here a few weeks ago, the Raiders. More that of the second half onslaught against the Roosters at Aussie Stadium, but it's a performance from the home side here which doesn't have much to recommend it. And now Mason getting a little frisky out there with a couple of Raiders opponents.
That one really hit him high, okay? But the penalties are mounting against your team in the second half. As captain, you fix it or I'll be forced to.
Well, it's one thing the Raiders are in front of today. There's the right forearm there of Mason, a little cuffing blow around the neck and ear region. 9-6 for the Perry, 6-2 in the second half alone to the Raiders. Here's Hodgson playing it back for Tongue. Carney giving it to Thompson. Ended away from the Nate Miles tackle to be stopped there by Matua. Tongue goes to Hodgson. They're played in front of the post, just inside the 20. They'll keep it going to the left-hand side. Tongue shows it one way. On the run around with Jason Croker, ducking in the tackle. They'll get across the line. Todd Carney eventually gets across the line for the Raiders. They're on the board.
And that was a nice set play by the Canberra Raiders. It was a good set play. This is one of their strengths. He's not happy. But Alan Tongue, a show, and then a double around off Croker. It's still a hard play to defend the run around, and then Carney coming in close support. They have more plays around the rucks probably than any other team, Canberra. They've missed their halfback, Simon Wolford, who controls it a lot for them. But it is their first four-pointer of the afternoon. It's come too late.
Chafofsky from just beside the post. Well, he'll make it. 28 points to 6. If only they'd come up with something like that, perhaps, one of their opening forays into the Bulldogs' 20-metre zone in the first half. It might have been a much tighter game. Alan Tongue, good work, and he's always one of the Raiders' best. Does so much of the dirty work for a player of his size.
I've got no doubt they tried hard today, Canberra. They've tried really hard.
No doubt, but you expect that.
Yeah, exactly.
The execution, though, has been, well, it's been pretty ordinary, hasn't it?
It has, and with the way that the Raiders play, you know, a lot revolves around their hooker.
There is Lincoln Withers going back and taking the kick off on the full. He almost stepped over the dead ball line in doing so. Tongue getting to dummy half, stopped by his hooking opponent today in Corey Hughes. Here's Ben Jones.
You can only imagine if the Raiders had turned over that much possession if they had been playing against a Newcastle or a Cowboys outfit.
Yes,
what the scoreline may have.
We saw what happened against Newcastle a few weeks ago. They might have cracked the ton today had they been here, and the Raiders coughed it up as they have.
They didn't turn it up as much on that day as what they did today.
No. Last week, the Raiders' completion rate was 36 out of 43. What that had given for something like those numbers today. Here's Carney chipping over the top. There's an army of green men chasing through. Marshall Chalk is one of them, and he goes back on the inside to Todd Carney, who gets a double in double quick time. There's 10 minutes left. It's 28 points to 10. I suppose anything's possible.
I'll tell you what, the Canberra Raiders are going to finish like the horses that I back. They're going to finish fast for a flying second and not get the cash. Chip over the top. David Howe, other than the tackle that he missed on Willie Tonga early in the game, I think he's been great. He's gone looking for the ball. He's looked dangerous when he's had it. And Todd Carney gets his second of the afternoon. And I'm going to stick with that, Warren. They're like my horses.
Well, it was going to be hard for them to finish third today, given it's a two-horse race. But they were looking like third or fourth for a while there. Shafovsky from just beside the post makes it 28 points to 12. It's a chip over the top again. David Howe doing well, drew and passed, and Carney gets the first double of his first grade career, and he was pretty pumped up about it as well, Brandy.
Yeah, like those horses, like Warriors horses, better for the run. Look out for them next week. And, of course, you said they play the Warriors next week, but we've been talking about the combination for the Bulldogs, the halves combination. But Todd Carney, he's an important member of this Raiders side, and he's shown some good form in the last 4 or 5 minutes. I know he hasn't had many opportunities today, but they certainly need someone. I know Wolford's out and Lincoln Withers has been playing halfback, but they need Todd Carney to stand up week in, week out.
Here's Andrew Lomu. He'll play it at the Raiders 20. Tongue. The duck under defenders. Suddenly there's a bit of noise here in Canberra. The locals have found their voice after sitting fairly silently, as you'd expect, for most of the first hour plus. Good kick from Carney. Down to Patton, who will pick it up on his own goal line and brings it back on. Jason Croker got cleaned up by Ben Jones, and the meat in the sandwich was Luke Patton, who slid awkwardly into the tackle.
Well, I thought Croker was the one coming out of it the worst. Patton. He slid into a knee, is it? Yeah, Ben Jones's knee. And Croker's copped Jones's shoulder. Croker just bounced straight back up to his feet, and there you see.
Well, I don't know how Jason Croker doesn't either have a concussion, an anterior cruciate ligament tear, or a lumbar problem, because he did the limbo after being almost knocked out and bent over backwards at the knees.
Well, he's one of the toughest players that have played the game, Jason Croker, close to 300 games. I can remember him playing against the Roosters for 25 minutes in the second half when they were down on troops with an ACL. It needed a knee reconstruction, but he stayed on and played for 25 minutes. He's having a laugh, Toots.
Well, my immediate concern, as you said, was for Jason Croker. Somehow he's okay. Luke Patton is a bit dusty. Here's Mark O'Mealy. They play it back to Hughes. Nate Miles works it up towards that man, Jason Croker, and also Alan Tongue. Here's Holdsworth. Mason running straights. He'll play it at the 30-metre line. 2 tackles left in this set of 6. Hughes will go a tackle early and kick out of dummy half. Good kick as well, and Shafovsky acrobatically had to take it on the full. Otherwise, it was going to be a 40-20.
Well, I thought the Raiders' afternoon was going to be summed up in that as well. I thought he's going to trip before he got there.
You weren't thinking pumpkin, were you?
No. I don't have anything to do with that award.
Here's Frawley, who comes to David Howe. Oh, he's almost away. Stopped there by Mason. He'll play it back to Tongue. The Raiders have got an energy, something in their game that's been missing for most of the afternoon. Tongue goes to Withers. He's stopped there by Miles. Last play here for Canberra. 30 metres away. Is it another chip over the top? That's exactly what it is. Off the boot there of Carney. Miles going backwards. Took it in his fingertips. And that catch there has killed any thought of some miraculous comeback by Canberra.
Yeah, good work by Nate Miles. It's great to see forwards these days We saw it yesterday with Shane Walker, 5th tackle. Not just going to sleep and hoping that someone else was going to come up with a play. They keep themselves alive just in case there's a kick back in the defensive line, and they get themselves in a position to get a positive result for their team.
Here's Willie Tonga trying to be dragged over the sideline by David Howe, who almost was going to give away the most blatant penalty you've ever seen in your life until he thought better of it. Tonga resented it and got up and gave him a bit of a fend in the mush. It's Holdsworth. Kicks back towards Shafovsky. Again, up against the sideline. Now he fires a long pass, looking into the sun out there. William Zillman was given quite a task, wasn't he? Give that man some volleys.
Well, you mentioned it earlier, about 2 minutes earlier. Shafovsky, 30-metre pass. And young Zillman lost contact with it, made sure that he was going to take it dead, though. Jason Smith sitting on the interchange bench. Matt Elliott realising the game's over. Give his old war horse a bit of a rest. Save the energy for next week when they take on the Warriors. Be a physical game. Here they go for a short drop out. It's not going to get the 10.
In fact, it's still play on. And it will be a penalty right in front of the post. Can you score a try like that?
I was just about to ask the same question. You're the rules expert.
I've never seen it.
I don't think you can.
You probably can't. You should be allowed to be.
I don't think you can.
Luke Patton had visions of planting the ball down.
Oh,
it'd be cruel,
he was
wouldn't
like
it?
us, wasn't he?
To bounce through and score and plant the ball down, and then the referee say, no, it's a penalty, not a try.
It'd be tempted, wouldn't it? You'd jump up and down, you'd scream.
Maybe you should be given the option. Would you like the penalty or would you like the try?
Yes.
No, sir, we'll take the 4 points, thank you. Hazem El Masri will be content with 2. It'll make it 14 points for the afternoon for El Masri. As we said, it takes him past that 1,600 point mark. He has exactly that at the moment. 66 already in the season, and this is just the 4th game for the Bulldogs. The flags go up, and they make it 30 points to 12.
Oh, the Bulldog supporters. There they are. They've got the drums out. They're banging them. It'll be a happy trip back to Sydney tonight. They got the whistles. They make plenty of noise, don't they, the Doggy supporters?
They like what they've seen here today. They would have been concerned, of course, off the back of the loss against the Newcastle Knights. And they're celebrating now. It'll be a fun old drive back home, up the highway. Here's Shafovsky. Kickoff comes down to Holdsworth. Impressive. In his first game at halfback for the Bulldogs. And if he continues on, the Bulldogs keep on winning. It might be some time before we see Brent Sherwin once again back in the top grade. O'Mealy playing it for Hughes. It comes to Matua. He likewise has had a good solid game in the number 6 jumper. John Green playing it. Here's Willie Mason giving it on to Chris Armott. Threatened to break the line and play it back to Corey Hughes. Holdsworth kicking from inside the 40. No dramas here for Clinton Shafovsky. The kick goes down to Marshall Chalk. He made an electrifying run from deep inside his own territory. Shafovsky hasn't been able to ghost his way through the line, as we've come to expect pretty much in every game he plays. Invariably he makes some sort of break after a jinking stepping run, but we haven't seen it today. He's been well contained by the Bulldogs defensive line. David Howe.
Well, he hasn't had that many opportunities, has he? You know, the kick chase hasn't been a long one from the Bulldogs, especially in that first half. They just camped themselves inside the quarter, so there's a lot of dummy half running being done by the Canberra outside backs as the ball's knocked down there by Holdsworth. But the Dogs, they'll be happy with this performance, being controlled. But I suppose the big talking point for them will be they've got through relatively injury-free, and next week, big Sonny Bill. against South Sydney on Monday on Fox Sports.
You'll see him live, of course, on Easter Monday. Steve Folkes, who said this week in the lead up to this game that the world will not stop turning if Sonny Bill Williams does not play as scheduled against the Raiders. Well, he was good to his word, of course, earlier in the week. No sign of Sonny Bill Williams anywhere near a pair of boots or a jumper today. We'll see him next week against the Rabbitohs.
I still believe, though, that Brent Sherwin's got a role to play with his Bulldog squad. I still think he is the best man for their offence. I think when he gets a bit of confidence out of playing reserve grade, I think he is the key ingredient for this side, whether they can win a competition or not. Because when they did win the comp back in 2004, he had an excellent year.
Here's Alan Tung on the wraparound from Jason Croker, putting a little grubber in. Coming through was Todd Carney looking for a hat-trick, but the ball beat him across the dead ball line. And the Bulldogs will gladly bring it back out slowly to the 20-metre line and count down the final few seconds of this game. It'll make their record 2 wins and 2 losses. There is Brent Sherwin, who was entertaining the crowd in the reserve grade fixture today. A losing effort by the Bulldogs against the Raiders. Here is Chris Arnott. He'll play it back to Hughes. They'll work it forward, you would reckon, for 3 or 4 tackles and then gladly put it across the touchline. Holdsworth will kick early in the tackle count, in fact. Shafovsky to go back to his own goal on a pretty well-weighted kick by Holdsworth. Has done well in that department today, and Shafovsky brings it back out to be collared by the number 7 himself.
They've kicked a lot to their right, haven't they, the Dogs, this afternoon? I think Shafovsky and Zillman have had to do a lot of work.
Here's Marshall Chalk again on that left-hand side of the field. That will do us here in Canberra today. The Bulldogs have held sway on NRL Sunday. They've beaten the Raiders 30 points to 12.
Convincing win by the Bulldogs. Certainly wasn't one of their better performances, but it gives them plenty of confidence to go into the next month of football. Obviously, the return of Sonny Bill will give them that extra spark. But their forwards, I thought they were terrific today. Mason, O'Mealy, particularly in the early exchanges, were fantastic. Asatasi, so they're on their way up.
Let's go downstairs to Greg Alexander.
When it mattered, Willie, it was a pretty solid performance today.
Mate, it was, we just talked about just getting in the grind and doing the simple things that the Bulldogs usually do, and that's just completing our sets and getting down there and tackling our butts off. So we've done that today, so it's good.
Good signs from the halves too, Rennie Matua and Daniel Holdsworth.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shock leaving Shifty out, but mate, Daniel Holdsworth went unbelievable today, and so did Rennie Matua. So, mate, it's going to be hard for Shifty to get his way back in, but I think the character that he's got, I think he will.
Good win, Willie. You went well.
Thanks, Brenny.
Well, the Bulldogs came here today having had a poor record in 13 previous games in Canberra. They'd won just 4 times. They've got the cash today. Trent Cutler scored the first try of the game. They went on with it in the second half. Matua made a clean bust. Luke Patton backed up to score 6 minutes after half-time. Andrew Emilio also reached out to put that down to make it, at that point, 28 points to 0. And that was more than enough for the Bulldogs to improve their record to 2 wins and 2 losses in 2006. Carney grabbed the double for the Raiders at the death. Shafovsky converted both. Cutler, Ryan, Patton and Emilio scored for the visitors. El Masri was perfect, kicking 7 from 7. That wraps up the live action here in Canberra. Don't forget to catch the Eels and the Panthers at 6 p.m. on Fox Sports 1. But until we see you next time, it is goodbye from Canberra.
I tried. No.